Yes, so my people, as we all know, say Israel carry out attack on Doha on September 9. So, and since then, Doha not they take am likely. The rulership of Doha, they not they take am likely at all. And with tension growing all over the world, with British declaring their support for the Palestinians by recognizing them over Israel. France doing the same. France President Macron calling for total withdrawal of Israel forces in the Gaza Strip and total rehabilitation of the people of Gaza into their own land, back to their own land. The same with Australia president, same with German president. The same news is coming from Egypt as well. Now, with all this criticism and with all these backing Palestinians are now having, the Israeli ambassador to United Nations has now come out to explain the reason why the attack in Doha was carried out on the 19th or the 9th of
Mr.
September.
President, on September
Now, let's
9th,
watch
Israel
the
carried
video
out a precise
as
and
he
targeted
explained to the
strike in
UN
Doha. The
authority.
strike targeted Hamas leaders who for years have planned and directed attacks against Israel, many times making these directives from the luxury confines in Doha. These terrorists were the sole
Yes,
target of the operation.
they are making
The men targeted were not
threats from that
legitimate
all those
politicians,
luxury in
diplomats,
Doha.
or
Yes,
representatives. They
they were
were the
illegitimate
masterminds
politicians.
of terror.
Yes,
They orchestrated the massacre on October 7th, murdering civilians, kidnapping children, raping
okay.
women, wiping out entire communities. As the smoke still rose from the massacre,
Mm-hmm.
even as the attack was still unfolding, Hamas leaders in Qatar appeared live on television, proudly
Wow,
broadcasting their
live
celebration,
on television,
while
proudly
Israelis hid in safe rooms,
for the
fled
attack.
from gunfire, and endured murder, kidnapping, and rape. Hamas's
Yes,
leaders feasted and congratulated
wonderful.
themselves in real time. These are the same
Ah,
men who called for jihad to escalate the conflict.
all this was too
They
much.
called for blood, not peace. They wild
Wow.
terror, not negotiation. And the
Yes.
terror has not stopped. Just days ago, at Ramot Junction in Jerusalem, Hamas terrorists opened fire on a bus stop crowded with children and adults. 6 innocent people were murdered. Among them, a
Yes.
25-year-old who had immigrated from Spain, recently married and building his future in Israel. A rabbi who had dedicated his life to teaching the next generation. 2 residents of the community struck down in
Wow.
their own neighborhood. Among the wounded was a woman 8 months pregnant, left to fight for her life and the life of her unborn child.
Wow.
These are not numbers, they are lives, families, futures stolen. When the gunfire stopped, the bus and the pavement around it were
Yes.
drenched in blood. This is what terrorism looks like. Mothers clutching babies, a bus stop turned into a battlefield, a community scared in seconds. This is a reality we face in Israel. Terror raising its ugly head almost every single day. And let this council be reminded, there can be no
Yes.
immunity for terrorists. Hamas immediately,
At all.
immediately
That is how it's supposed to
praised
be.
the
There should be
killers
no immunity
as
for
heroic and
terrorists
exceptional,
normally.
later claiming full responsibility for the attack and calling the massacre of innocent people a natural response. There is nothing natural about this. It is terror, pure and simple.
At all. At
Today,
all.
48 innocent people are still held hostage by Hamas. Their families live in daily pain. It has been more than
48.
700 days that innocent people have been trapped in Hamas captivity. 700 days
No,
of
no.
cruelty
So it's only
and abuse.
700 days. It's up to
Hamas
700 days
have used
now.
them as bargaining chips, turning their suffering into currency. But let me be clear, there is no immunity
Yes.
for terrorists, not for those who commit it and not for those who enable it. Israel has agreed to President Trump's ceasefire proposal. We are ready to stop the fighting, but Hamas refuses. They keep the world waiting. They are in no rush. They have the time. Indifferent to the human suffering that their delay causes. And who suffers from this refusal? Not the leaders of Hamas, living abroad in the Ritz-Carlton in Doha. They don't suffer, they have the time. But the hostages languishing in their cells and the people of Gaza used as human shields. From the start, Hamas's strategy has been to embed its weapons among civilians. They hide rockets in schools, command centers in hospitals, and tunnels under homes. They put
I
their
guess
own
this is
people
making
in
sense,
harm's
but
way.
has this really
Then
justified the
cry
reason why you
crocodile
have to
tears
make
when
that carry
civilians
out
are
that
hurt.
attack in Doha? That
Our
is the
fight
question.
is with Hamas, not with the people of Gaza, not with the state of Qatar. Israel will continue to take precautions to protect innocent lives. That is the difference between us and those who glorify massacre and terror. Like in the Bible, like Cain in the Bible, who was marked for the murder of his brother, so too are Hamas's leaders marked for their crimes. It doesn't matter where they hide, whether in the tunnel in Gaza or in a luxury hotel abroad. The mark of Cain is upon them. For too long, Hamas leaders have been sheltered not only in Doha, but in Beirut,
The mark of Cain is
Tehran,
upon them.
and elsewhere, parading
This
as
is why I keep wondering,
politicians
because they
and
keep
statesmen
justifying
while
their
acting
deed
as terrorists.
and everything they are
They are
doing
treated
there
like
with
celebrities,
biblical references.
when in reality, they are commanders of massacre and barbarism. This false disguise of legitimacy gave them freedom to move, to buy weapons, to recruit through so-called humanitarian networks, and to spread propaganda on international platforms that should have rejected them. This strike sends a
Yes,
message that should echo across this chamber. There is no
a very strong
sanctuary for
message.
terrorists, not in Gaza, not in Tehran, not in Doha. There is no immunity for terrorists. And yet, here in this council, some members chose to give Hamas legitimacy, even protection. Israel will not. We will act against the leaders of terror wherever they are hiding. Mr. President, we have heard today in this council allegations about a breach of the territorial sovereignty of Qatar. But one must ask, where were these concerns when sovereignty was violated by terror itself? On October 8, when Hezbollah launched rockets across Israel's border, when Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Ben Gurion airport, or just days ago, when a Houthi drone crashed into the arrivals
These
hall
things
of
are
Rabon
getting
airport, injuring
more and more
civilians.
interesting. Very, very complicated.
How can anyone
Because
hide
if you
behind
keep listening
allegations
to his
appealing to the
complaint
principles of
and
international
there are
law
reasons for
while giving
the
legitimacy
attack
to
in
those who
Doha,
openly glorify
you will see that
October
the
7th
attack
and
somehow
continue
is being
to plot terror?
justified, but
Mr.
somehow
President,
it's not.
this brings me to Qatar.
Since Doha was
Prime
not
Minister
part of
Al-Thani,
Hamas territory,
the time for
and that will
Qatar
say
to
it's a
choose
violation
has
of
come. For too long,
Doha
Qatar has
territorial
harbored terrorists,
sovereignty.
offering Hamas leaders sanctuary in luxury hotels while they orchestrate massacres and terror attacks. History will not be kind to accomplices.
Sorry.
Either Qatar condemns Hamas, expels Hamas, and brings Hamas to justice, or Israel will.
Or we do
Mr.
it.
President,
Okay.
the world has faced
The
moments like
message is
this
simple.
before.
We said that they do it or
Today,
Israel will do it.
the world remembers the devastating terrorist attacks of September 11th. That tragic day, like October 7th for Israel,
Yes, can
was a
never be
day
forgotten.
of fire and blood. In the aftermath of 9/11, the countries
Yes.
that uphold freedom, equality, and democracy in this council stood shoulder to shoulder. 2 weeks later, this council adopted Resolution 1373. It said plainly, no state may harbor terrorists. No state may fund them. No
No
state
state may harbor
may give them
terrorists.
safe haven.
May fund them.
I urge you all to read this resolution. Any government that does so breaks this council binding obligations. That principle was clear then. It must be upheld today.
Mm-hmm.
And when bin Laden was eliminated in
One thing
Pakistan,
about these Jewish people is they
the
are so
question asked was
intelligent
not
and they are just too
why target a
as
terrorist
in
on foreign soil.
intelligent
No one asked that question.
for their
The question
opponents.
was, why was a terrorist given shelter at all? The same question must be asked today. There was no
That is
immunity
another
for
question.
bin Laden, and there can be no immunity for Hamas. And in facing terror, history shows that members of this council have done the very same. From 2014 to 2022, France struck terrorists in Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania. In 2014 and 2015, the United Kingdom carried out airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against ISIS. So I ask,
They
if these
always have
actions
a
were
way of
justified
justifying
then,
their deed. Everything they
why
are
is
doing, they always
Israel
have a
singled
way.
out
They always
now?
have a backup story to back
Why
it
are
up. And
claims
they always have
concerning
example.
sovereignty invoked
They are
only
not asking why is
against
their own
Israel
not different.
and ignored when others act to defend themselves? Is Israeli blood worthless? The question to ask is not why Israel targets the mastermind of terror, but why they are sheltered abroad, while hostages starve in captivity and
That is another
Gazans are
question. If
left to
truly
suffer.
they are terrorists,
Israel's fight is not only Israel's. It is a fight of all who believe in democracy against those who worship death and violence. Light against darkness.
democracy for this one where we did
Civilization
so is
against
your fight.
barbarism.
Democracy fight.
Justice against terror.
Light against darkness.
We will
Civilization
continue
against
until the
barbarism. Justice
hostages are
against
free,
terror.
until our people are safe, and until terror can no longer find sanctuary in any corner of the world, because there is no, and there never will be, immunity for terrorists. Thank you, Mr. President.